Hi, and welcome to the Australian Gamer Show. I'm Matt.
And I'm Yug.
Tonight we're going to be talking about Max Payne, the movie.
Emphasis on the pain there. The Starcraft sequel trilogy.
And the World of Warcraft patch.
Alright, now we are so going to start on the Max Payne movie.
We are. We've been actually deliberately not talking about it so that we could talk about it now.
Which, can I say, is just really, really frustrating. You know how you see a movie, you walk out, and you're like,
yeah.
God, I just so want to talk about that. We haven't been able to talk about anything else.
Yeah.
Because, do you know that feeling? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think everyone. I mean, are you talking to me or are you talking to them?
I don't know, both.
Because I think we all do. I think we all do.
But can I just say, we were going to sit down and do the podcast sort of thing. We're like, oh, what are the topics? Well, Starcraft, that's one I really want to talk about. And you're like, well, World of Warcraft. And we're like, hey, Max Payne is out. We should go see that. Yeah!
So we decided to do that. We decided for you guys to go and see Max Payne the movie. And I just have to say...
I just like to say, I wanted to see Max Payne the movie.
Okay.
I am a big fan of the Max Payne games, both of them. Finished both of them. I really liked them. I think they were brilliant stories. I think they were just some of the pinnacle of game narrative and story sort of thing. So,
indeed.
Yeah.
Whatever. I've always thought you overestimated this series, but not. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I just personally, I went and saw it for you guys,
okay.
for the listeners, so we could talk about it, so we could share our views.
And let's talk.
And I just want to say to the people that made me go see it, fuck you, you bastards.
I really can't. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't defend this movie, man. It's just
The podcast always works better when Yug and I disagree. Unfortunately, we're in fairly thorough consensus on this movie.
No,
it is a steaming turd made up of small chunks of other turds.
I think my dislike of this movie might be slightly. We will agree on certain things, and we will certainly get into those.
Yeah.
But I actually want to kick off on the things which I know we're going to disagree on. Because, okay, let me ask you this question. First of all, was there any aspect to the movie whatsoever that you thought was redeeming and good?
Redeeming implies that it fully redeems.
Okay. Was there any part of the movie that you thought was, that's pretty good? In
isolation. If I was to distill the whole movie down...
That's what I'm saying.
And the best bits and make them into a video clip for a song, it'd be a 20-second song.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. There were a few effects that I went, it's pretty well done.
Yep.
That's it. There's nothing else.
All right. Well, look, now I'm going to start off with the things that I actually thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought that they captured the feel of the game very kind of well, as in the environments. It's always snowing, it's always nighttime, it's always gritty, and you're always in the movie starts out in a subway station, very similar to the first game sort of thing. There's a lot of like tracking shots over the city. It's snow. It's always snowing. It's non-stop snowing.
Snowing, except a couple of times when it's raining.
Yeah, snowing or raining.
Inclement weather in Max Payne land.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the same. It's a David Fincher movie, you could almost say, sort of thing. But it's that it captured the environments, and even like they're in the
gritty kind of thing.
Yeah, even when they're walking through like the warehouses or the big buildings, there's screams and there's like crazy people that are on the drugs and all that kind of thing. One other redeeming feature I thought, not redeeming, but attempting at redeeming, was it did actually, if you took the dialogue away from the story.
Right, that's going well so far.
Bear with me here. The story did follow the plot of the Max Payne games fairly. I actually did agree.
I don't know that I would consider that necessarily good, but I do know what you mean. You could kind of see that they were almost mirroring it.
You could see that they were being as faithful as, well, not as faithful as they could be, but fairly faithful to the game, with the one fucking I'm just exception. I know you're chomping at the bit.
I really am.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Can I start though? Just with this one little exception, and then you can just go off.
Okay, go.
Where the fuck does this supernatural angel concept fucking come into a Max Payne game?
Yeah, you know what? That was actually one of the. This is kind of weird, but that was one of the few things I actually thought was well handled.
Right.
Because you guys haven't mostly seen the movie because you're too smart, but there were these angels and demons that were kind of floating around. Anyone who was on this particular drug had these kind of hairy demon things chasing them with wings and stuff, and it was all, Constantine-esque. But I actually thought that was quite well done because it made it pretty clear it was a drug-fueled hallucination, and I was okay with that. I thought that was reasonable.
Yeah, now, I didn't mind it initially, but by the end, it's like...
You got really sick of it, though.
Yeah.
Can we move on to another thing, though? I just want to say...
all right.
Dismiss your opinion and then just move on with my own.
He's moving back and forth.
I'm actually
like one of those
edging.
kids that's in the corner sort of thing.
I should be hitting myself in the head. Yeah.
And it's just, okay, go. Okay. Go, do it. Go on.
You say that they matched the scenes quite well, right? You know, that they had the
Yes.
Do you remember the game? Do you remember how people got fucking shot?
Yeah.
And there was action and things happened in those scenes? They didn't just fucking walk through them?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, yeah.
Why would you take a full-on balls-to-the-wall action game like Max Payne and turn it into a soppy fucking melodrama full of bullshit and nothing else? Why would you take an action shooting game with stylized cinematic shooting, remove the cinema from it to put it in a movie, and then remove the shooting? Seriously, what the fuck?
Yeah, I can sense some rage there, ever so slightly.
I don't understand the thought process behind, let's set this in these same locations but not have him shoot anyone. He'll just walk through them.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
You can't even defend it. I know, it's not fair. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Smelly, dead fish that have already been shot by someone else at the same barrel previously.
I kind of get the impression that there was two sides of people to working on this movie. There was one side that the people that probably actually did like the Max Payne games. And they're like, oh look, we're really keen to actually make something that is a faithful representation of that game. And I think that comes through in some of the art direction and the places. But then you've got the other side, which is the very Hollywood side. So I think this is epitomized by a interview that was actually I read with Mark Wahlberg. Right. And in this particular thing, he was asked, so had you played the Max Payne games before? And he was like, oh no, look, I read the script and I thought it was fantastic. And as soon as I read the script, I got a copy of the game and I got my assistant to play it. Right.
Yeah, I got my assistant to play the game for me.
Yeah.
You got a hard life, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, that's right. You're making a movie based on a video game. You can't even play the source material yourself.
I kind of agree. I do agree that there were probably two types of people involved in the making of this movie.
It felt like that. It did.
But to me, the two types were the Down syndrome kids running around with helmets on their heads as they smacked into the walls with their heads, headbutting them and making groaning noises.
Okay, I got
the other
that visual.
type didn't have helmets. I can't see any reason you would make this movie other than Down syndrome. I honestly can't.
Yeah. Right. Are you trying to go through all the different diseases? Epilepsy, Down syndrome. What's next? What's for next week, Matt?
Multiple sclerosis.
Excellent.
Those guys are fuckers.
Can't wait. But I had low expectations going into this.
I know.
As well. I'd read it now, not because I thought it would be a crap movie and the idea of making a Max Payne game is a crap idea.
Inherently good.
Yeah.
It's already cinematic. It's already a story. Go nuts, guys. You've got your bullet time set up and ready to go. You've got all those action kind of shots.
Do you know what really weirds me out? Because I actually did read a couple of reviews of this before I saw it, and that's why I think my expectations were very low. One of the reviews actually turned around and said, enough, guys, enough with the slow motion action scenes. We're sick of it. But whoa. Max Payne started that shit. Max Payne was one of the, I think it was the first video game to actually put that in there. But there were two of them. Like, this is the thing. I expected the whole movie to be half in slow-mo. And you know what? I think I kind of would have been okay with that. The two slow-mo bits that were in the movie were admittedly way too slow-mo. Yeah, I don't understand it's like they only had a certain amount of slow-mo and they decided to use it all up in one shot. It was bizarre. There was this one bit where he's jumping backwards with a shotgun about to fire it. And it's like, cool. Hey, I can, there's a guy standing behind him. He goes, yeah, and jumps. He's doing the limbo. Right? Yeah, that's right. And then it turns into the slow-mo shot. And it's like, ah! And then it stops and goes into slow-mo. I think there was about 10 seconds of him just falling backwards before he actually even pulled the trigger on the gun. You know what? That's not an action sequence, kids. No. That's certainly not the Max Payne action sequence in the game either. So slow motion is intended to highlight the action, not stop it. Yeah. There are a couple of other things which were really weird. There was this one bit where there was a fight sequence sort of thing, you know. And as he's getting beaten up, he's getting punched. The whole screen actually turned this sort of stylized red sort of thing to show him getting hit. And it was like, okay, that's kind of cool, you know. It's like that's stylized or whatever. That was it. It was just in that one bit.
Yeah.
Or at the very start of the movie, like it's got 1 week later sort of thing.
Yeah, written on a wall.
Written on a wall in the building.
It looks like a physical object on the wall. It looks really cool.
Now this should be really obvious, I would have thought, to filmmakers. But if you've got a theme in a movie, you need to stick with that theme.
Yeah.
Or if you've got something, if you stylize a movie in a certain way, you have to continue that style all the way through. You can't make Sin City then halfway through.
I know.
Turn
I
it
was
into
thinking
colour.
exactly that of Sin City. Like, imagine if a quarter of the way through Sin City, it suddenly turned into black and white, sort of cartoony-esque style, and then like halfway through stopped. That's pretty much what they did.
Yeah.
Except there were only a few scenes of it. What I thought, because I kind of thought the same, it was only towards the end, sort of near the climax, that it started to find anything remotely resembling any sort of sense of style.
Yeah.
The rest was just lumbering. It's funny. I once I realized how fucking bored I was while watching this movie, and that's not okay.
No, I know.
I started to just think up jokes about Max Payne. The best I could think of was Max Payne min plot.
Right.
Which I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
Max Payne is what the audience was in, but that's an obvious one.
That's a little bit too obvious, I think, yeah.
I also came to the realization that, do you remember that the first Max Payne, how it looked like he had a carrot up his arse and was in agonizing
Admittedly,
pain
I
as a
think
result?
Marky Mark actually did accurately...
That's what I was thinking. He looked more comfortable and natural than Marky Mark did, which I thought was impressive.
I was actually going to say Marky Mark. I think he would have actually taken photos from the first game.
Yeah, and gone, that's
that
what I want to be.
Expression
Yeah.
And gone, that's what I need to epitomize throughout this movie. And I think he captured that rather well, I thought. So, yeah. Good on him. That's, yeah.
What really amazed me about this movie, and I'm sick of this in movies, why was everyone so stupid?
It's not so much just that everyone's so stupid, but I can't remember the last time where I watched a movie that had such stiff, stereotypical, jilted dialogue. I mean, there was a bit
stilted is the word.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a bit where he's like, you know, he gets out, his partner picks him up and he's like, "Where were you? I found your wallet at the scene of the crime," sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You want to talk about this inside or go downtown, or out here or go downtown?" And I can't remember exactly what it was now, but it was really stereotypical. Oh, you don't understand, or
yeah.
And it was like. And it delivered in such a, you don't understand, and then pause.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't understand? It was like watching amateur theatre.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. My favourite line from it was definitely the just bizarrely inappropriate, "Here, take some C4." It was just the most random shit, but I loved it. And I wasn't the only person who laughed at that either.
Yeah.
I have to say also, and I don't mean to wreck this movie for anyone, there is a spoiler here, so block your ears for the next 5 seconds.
Yep.
Beau Bridges' character was a baddie. If you didn't fucking see that coming, you've never fucking seen a movie, and I hoped for the life of me that it would turn out to be a bit of a twist that he wasn't a baddie.
No.
But they lacked the intellect for that. If you go see it and you're hoping that he'll turn out to actually be a goodie and destroy your expectations, end that hope now.
Yeah, no, sorry, unfortunately not. Can I actually just possibly finish this off?
I think we're done.
By saying one thing. When Chris O'Donnell is probably the best actor in a movie, you know you've got problems.
Yeah, Chris O'Donnell.
He was actually all right.
He was all right. He was fat, though.
He was a bit fat. He looked a bit old. But you know what?
What was it rated? Do we know what it was rated? Was it MA?
I'd say MA, yeah. Although there was no...
If you've got an MA...
I'd say M. I can't imagine why that would be
Why
MA.
did the first chick not get her tits out? Seriously. I mean...
That happens in PG movies. I mean, you know, surely.
It was just weird. It seemed oddly inappropriate, like they were shy about the whole thing. I don't know. Find a woman who'll get her
well,
tits
you
out.
know, the movie is based on a video game, so
yeah, kind of.
You know,
boobs.
can't have boobs, but lots of violence. Well, not much violence actually. Is kind of
no, not in this. No,
yeah,
it was apparently inappropriate.
Look,
there was one thing that I liked, one actor or one character that I thought, which was the baddie, the Lupino or whatever his name is. I actually thought he was pretty cool. Way overdone. But
I could not stand that guy. He spent the first half of the movie, literally, whenever there was something to do with Max Payne walking, progressing. Suddenly, it would just cut to him standing on a rooftop, grimacing, looking down, and licking his lips.
Yeah, like he'd just
and
eaten a lamb roast.
It would just be this pan shot for like about 10 seconds of him looking down and going, oh, like a fucking wrestler sort of thing.
Yeah, it was great.
And wearing this dodgy motorcycle. He didn't look threatening at all.
He looked awesome.
He didn't. He looked like he looked like he belonged in a gay club.
He looked like Billy Zane.
He
looked like Billy Zane's gigantic brother.
So
let's move on.
Okay, yeah, we're going to move on. But
to video games, actual video games.
Well, that is based on a video game movie, but look, I highly recommend no one actually goes see it.
Someone is in a car now listening to this, or in a train on the way to meet friends. Turn around, go back.
Do what we bumped into a bunch of people there. Do what they did. Go see Burn after reading.
They were going to ditch their movie, and we tried to convince them to ditch their movie. Yeah, I know.
Felt really guilty.
I know.
So
whatever.
Yeah. Look, let's talk about the other big topics now. I think these two are things which you could say are exclusively of interest to Matt and myself.
Yeah,
separately.
we've picked one each. We've got a Blizzard each.
You know what? Yeah. You start with your World of Warcraft thing. Let's get this out of the way.
Yeah, there's not that much to it really, except that the World of Warcraft 3.0 and then 3.0.1 and then 3.0.2 patches have been released.
Yep.
And the point of them is to bridge the gap between the Burning Crusade and the Lich King expansion. Yep. They also add some new crafting abilities called Inscription and some other shit.
Right.
Some new talents and stuff, which is kind of cool. It's the main thing that I wanted to talk about though is that it's a 1.2 gig patch, and that was before you had to download the other 180 megs. So that's a total of 1.4 gig.
Do you know what?
For a single patch.
That is horrible. I don't want to give anything away here, but I've actually got to install World of Warcraft this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm ever so slightly scared.
You're actually going to have to download that patch, but I do now because I downloaded it, have them on my disk, and I can give them to you, and you can run that patch.
This is the thing, and this is a point that I know you're pretty keen to make, which is a 1.4 gig patch. Australia isn't exactly
that's kind of where I'm getting with this.
Here.
Now, I downloaded this month so far. I've downloaded that patch, one or two other kind of random either game demos or full games. Wipeout HD is one of them. A few others.
Yep.
And the BioShock PlayStation 3 demo. Now that was 1.8 gig alone.
Jesus.
Plus the 1.4 for whatever we're talking about here. For World of Warcraft. That's a lot, basically. That's 2.2 gig of my. Now
how much bandwidth do you have?
I only have 20 gig of bandwidth on my account.
Are you on
during
IONET?
peak time? Yeah, on IONET.
You know you can upgrade that. I did to mine. It's a free upgrade. 25 gig peak now.
Okay, maybe I think I might actually be on that then, because I think I did upgrade it. Now I also have quite a lot more than that off peak.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm not awake and off peak, and I would just like to point something out. If you are downloading stuff using either the PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, or Steam, you cannot schedule a download. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
This is the sort of feature that would be incredibly useful in these sort of downloads.
But
useful for Australia, at least.
So you can't do it on Steam, Xbox Live, or PlayStation
Now you can on BitTorrent clients.
Yay, pirating!
Piracy has better software and better support than the actual programs. Now, if the PlayStation 3 could do it and the Xbox 360 couldn't do it, I would say, oh well, that's a feature that they have. They
sure.
If the Xbox 360 could do it and the PlayStation 3 couldn't do it, I'd go, not surprising. Microsoft have better software.
Right.
Steam, I would expect to do it because it's a PC client, and you would kind of think it would have more features.
You would think that. For what it's worth, I tend to, previously, I've actually just pushed the on switch on my 360 before I go to bed at night a lot of the time. I'll crash at 1 a.m. in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, but see, I'm just not up. I'm not up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I have to go to work. And
yeah, no, I know, I get it. I do. Yeah. I think someone was telling me tonight, I can't remember who, but they were saying that in the US they're talking about capping their internet.
They were talking about capping.
And they're all bitching and whining about it because they're being capped to 250 gig.
Yeah.
Oh, you poor babies.
Yeah, you poor babies. So those of you who are in the United States, a little bit of sympathy.
Tell you fucking what, the future of movies and multimedia, it ain't downloading them in Australia.
Because it's always...
It's not movies on demand around here.
Because that's always been something people said. I remember hearing someone say, even Blu-ray is temporary. It's not going to last that long because people are just going to have movies on demand. Fuck that. Not at the cost of Australian bandwidth.
Download one movie a day. A month, sorry. A month.
Probably a month. I mean, I'm not quite 100% sure how big a Blu-ray is, but it ain't small.
Yeah. No, a Blu-ray is
40 gig, I think. Yeah, or in that range.
So in other words, you couldn't...
Well, double my cap.
Depending on... I don't think Blu-ray movies make full use of the disc, though.
Maybe they
but
do.
If
maybe
they did,
don't.
That would actually be... You couldn't even download one Blu-ray
You couldn't
movie.
even do one a month. Now that's
I mean,
impressive. But that being said, it's not compressed either. So you could get that down by maybe to a quarter of that. You've still got 10 gig. That's kind of ridiculous to download.
Yeah, no. So have you download the patch?
The patch actually has been downloaded. Now this is another thing. I mean, Blizzard are doing basically the same thing. Blizzard download the patch when you stop playing the game. So it's got a little downloader that sits there kind of trickling it down. But not at off-peak times. It's trickling down all the time.
Yeah.
So
right.
So I can't control when that, except by stopping playing at a certain time or pausing the download or So it's kind of been just leeching my bandwidth for the last month
That
or
is
so.
annoying. That's really frustrating. I understand why these proper software programs don't have the ability. I guess in the States it's not that big an issue.
It's not an issue in the States, so it's not an issue here.
So it's not an issue here. So no one cares about little old Australia.
Little old Australia.
Listen, let's move on to the very last topic that I particularly want to bitch about. A topic very, very close to my heart and more close to Matt's colon, probably, because he thinks the game is kind of arse.
No, that's not true. I think I'm arse at playing it.
I
think your Protoss... You're being Protoss as shit, and being Protoss against the Zerg. No. My point is, Zerg against Protoss is hard if the game goes for more than 3 minutes.
All right, valid. If you're going to be a dickwad and Zerg
Rush, I mean, you don't even have to Zerg Rush. The strength of the Protoss grows substantially over time. The strength of the Zerg does not grow as much.
Well, there's just different strategies. But look, I'm not here to pick holes in StarCraft 1.
No.
What we're here to talk about is StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
Now, I'd just like to say, just so you know where I'm coming from here, we did a top, I think, 50 or 100, top 100 games?
Top 50,
it was a top 50. Our top 50 games, which Matt and I collaborated on to actually come up with our combined top 50
which
games.
Which means arguing about it, not working together in any way.
If it was up to me, the number one game on that list would have been StarCraft. But because Matt felt that game didn't even belong on the list, I believe it dropped down to number 7.
Yeah, because we agreed on some, which gave them a higher overall ranking.
It was fascinating.
I dropped the average down.
We kind of bartered on a few.
Yeah,
it's like,
we did.
Well, look, I'll drop StarCraft down, all right? But you can't put Resident Evil as number 2.
I'll let you have Deus Ex if you let me have
it was this trading program. I'll let you have Super Mario World if you give me Resident Evil 4. It's like, all right. So that was interesting. Anyway, StarCraft 2. Obviously, there's been heaps of details that have been coming out.
Yeah,
now, BlizzCon was just on over in the States, and there was a lot of information coming out of there. The biggest one, which is sure to cause quite a lot of controversy, is the fact that the single-player StarCraft 2 campaign is going to be split into 3 parts.
Yeah.
Now, this in itself isn't really surprising because it was always going to be split into 3 parts: the Terran, the Protoss, and the Zerg. The difference here is that these 3 parts are going to be 3 separate games that you buy at separate times.
Yeah, the question I have to ask on that is, will they be for full price each?
They haven't said about there was an FAQ that Blizzard Activision actually sent out that answered questions like that by saying, Blizzard will charge what we think it's worth. We won't overcharge you.
Right.
That's
interesting because they're not necessarily the same.
Blizzard. To be honest, I don't really care about the price. That's just. I know that sounds slightly vain or whatever, but this is.
No, I get it. We're grown ups, so it's even if it's $100 each.
No, you don't get it. Even if I wasn't grown up, price is not the issue here.
No, I get it.
The issue here is I can't play this game when it comes out. I can't play the 3 different races.
Yeah.
That is one of the best ways to get acquainted with the races as well, is to play through that single-player campaign. More importantly, what have they been doing for the last 10 years? Well, I guess World of Warcraft, but why? What?
Yeah, I know. When you take 10 years to bring out a game, bring out a whole fucking game. Don't bring out 3 chunks of games.
Now, I do
by...
want to get slightly official here and say that the 3 different games that they've actually got Starcraft 2. This is all tentative titles that they've put out there. Starcraft 2, Wings of Liberty is the first one, which will have the Terran campaign. And it actually features Jim Raynor from the first game as well, which is kind of cool. The second one is Starcraft 2, Heart of the Swarm, which obviously features the Zerg campaign and features Kerrigan, which is cool. And the last one is Legacy of the Void, which they've just said is the Protoss campaign. Now, when you buy the first one with the Terran campaign, you do get all the multiplayer options and everything like that. Interesting, though, I mean, obviously, because multiplayer is where it's at for the Starcraft.
Yeah, I did wonder that.
Interestingly, what they've also said is that when eventually the expansion, these other packs are brought out and you buy them, there's also going to be brand new multiplayer and options and units sort of stuff in these new packs. It's not just, here's the new single player game. This is not...
Okay, sorry, but here's the question. When you say that, you say they're going to give you more when you get the full version.
Yeah.
But couldn't you just as well argue that what they're actually doing is giving you less in the first place?
Yes. You certainly could, and I certainly am.
Right, that's what you say. We are in agreement with that, are we?
Yes. I guess my other issue isn't so much that I feel I'm going to get ripped off in terms. I'm just being very fanboyish here. I want to play it all now, and I guess my biggest concern is
dole it out in episodic content.
Put it this way, right? This is actually going to come across really bad, but I don't care. If it was EA publishing this game, and EA said, we're going to release these 3 titles, one after the other sort of thing. This one's going to be released now. This one's going to... If EA turns around and says to me, this game's going to be released at this time, you know what? I kind of believe them. They do that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what they do? They churn out titles regularly. They're on the ball with those franchises.
Oh, yeah. They know how to get an 09 on the end of stuff.
Fuck yeah. That's what they do. But Blizzard are notorious. They're right up there with Valve. To turn around and say, yes, well, it's not perfect yet, so we're going to wait another year.
Yeah.
They are notorious. If they even dared come out with a release date for these 2 expansion packs, I would happily put so much money on the fact that they will not be released on those dates.
Yeah.
And that disappoints me to a huge extent.
I guess a big question that hangs over these things is, are we talking about... Well, because I know this is exactly what we're talking about, but do you think we're talking about like one coming out, say, in 2 months, one coming out the month after, and one coming out the month after that, or are we talking like a gap of 3 years between each one?
If it was only a gap of a couple of months each, I don't know why they'd even do this.
Maybe because they need just a little bit of time and they think they're pushing their luck as it is.
I don't think it's Blizzard. If they felt they were pushing their luck as it is, they'd put the whole fucking game back 6 months.
No, it's Blizzard Activision now. Activision might well be pushing them for a release.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I guess my other frustration here is I'm a Protoss player. I always have
I know.
been.
That's what I thought too. I saw that and
they're the last fucking expansion. Yeah.
And why do we have to play as the Terrans, for God's sake? They're Space Marines. God, I hate fucking Space Marines. Next time I see a Space Marine in something, I'm going to just punch whatever it is.
What, like Gears of War 2?
Yes, like Gears of War 2. It's an argument on the forum.
Yeah.
Just ignore him.
Yeah. Well, that's not all about the Space Marines. It's actually got a really good story.
Whatever. The argument is whether Gears of War has any potential to have... Gears of War 2 has any potential to have a good storyline. My argument is that potential is very, very slim. And I see no reason to believe it based on the story for Gears of War 1.
Yeah, look, it was something that Joey was arguing with Matt about, and I found it kind of weird because, and if you thought the first Gears of War had a fantastic story, you really got into it, yay, good for you. You know what? You're going to think the second one has a fantastic story, and you're probably really going to get into it. Because it does, it's going to, if it ain't broke, they're not going to fix it. Whereas for myself, it didn't grab me. I didn't really find it interesting. I didn't really care about the main character all that much. It's like, I'm a
Because
Marine.
he's a generic space marine.
Yeah, I know. Well, exactly, sort of thing. So I see no reason why the second one would change the formula or the format. I mean, it's a sequel to a game that's proven. So
I mean, my opinion is that when you start a game by setting it as a sort of gruff, macho space marine fighting against impossible odds on an alien planet, you have nowhere to go.
Yeah,
really.
That's true. Although,
nowhere that isn't generic.
Can I actually say, you know, the one that is a little bit of a guilty pleasure that's slightly interesting me?
What's that?
Which is the Warhammer Space Marine, Warhammer 40k Space
Yeah,
Marine.
well, I actually don't mind the Warhammer stuff because much like I've always thought Warhammer 40k and Starcraft were identical.
Yeah,
they are just duplicates of. It's all the same balance, the same races.
Yep.
So yeah, the Zerg and the
maybe that's it. Maybe
and the Tyranids are identical, and I quite liked Tyranids. I actually painted some Tyranids miniatures.
Yeah, cool. Well, look. Anyway, there's some leaked footage from the Warhammer 40k Space Marine.
Right.
I don't know if I showed you that. Have you?
No, I haven't seen that.
I'll have to show you that because it's very Gears of War-y. It's very that style, but there's just a couple of scenes in it which are very epic in feel. And it focuses a lot on the close combat side.
Yeah,
of things.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
I read a really interesting article about it.
Right. Okay.
In Hyper, I think it was.
Okay, cool. But yeah, that's the only Space Marine game that I'm really all that interested to play. StarCraft 2 has Space Marines in it, but I'm a Protoss player.
Well, you'd like to be. I think we've run out of energy now.
Yeah.
We've vented.
We've
been full of rage on this one.
Like I feel like really quite relaxed now. You know what I mean?
Normally, yeah, I do too. It's been very cathartic. Thank you for letting us vent all over you,
Cheers, everyone.
people.
Yeah, this has been a bit of a slightly violent
spewed
podcast.
Forth our bile upon you, and we feel relieved.
We feel better for it.
We feel better for it. We hope you feel worse. Basically,
we don't hope you do, but if you do, sorry.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I reckon there's someone now on the train listening to this.
On the way to
Max
Payne,
back
of course.
from Max Payne,
okay,
going, fuck you, if only I'd listened to this earlier.
If only.
Yeah. If only I'd gotten the warning in time. I was just 10 minutes late.
Just like Max Payne to save his wife.
Yeah.
How's that? Yeah, there's a bit where like the characters, oh, you don't know the half of what happened to Max Payne.
Yeah.
And, you know, he walked home and he could have saved his wife by 10. It's like, but we already knew that. Like
we knew that.
What's the drama bit here?
Yeah.
He could have saved her if he was 10 minutes earlier.
I hoped for some drama because they never mentioned what happened to his baby. I hoped maybe he had inadvertently killed the baby himself or something like that.
You know what? I've got a feeling that whole thing was maybe taken out the same way that there was no nudity shown. Maybe they were really trying to pull this one down. Actually, I'm pretty sure it wasn't MA. I'm pretty sure it was M, but let's double check that because they probably wanted it to appeal to a younger audience.
Maybe.
One good thing that might potentially and possibly come out of this whole shamble of a movie:
the assassination of Marky Mark.
He was good in the Departed.
He was really good in The Big Hit as well.
Yeah, there you go. So he's still got those under his belt. No, they might potentially greenlight a Max Payne 3 game, which I would think would be awesome if it didn't get affected by the movie, similar to, so I hear, the Silent Hill game. It has kind of taken a leaf out of the Silent Hill movie.
Well, I've been watching the Silent Hill game.
Yeah.
Yahtzee bought it, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to give it a go.
Okay, cool.
So,
yeah, you illegal importer, you.
I know, I'm hardcore.
Yeah. No, you're not.
You know, if I ever go to jail, I don't want it to be for importing an illegal game.
No.
Because, like, how does
What are you in for?
Yeah, what are you in for? I want to be able to say I killed a guy who looked a lot like you.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be able. You don't want to say I imported an illegal copy of.
Because he's gonna hand you a
Hill.
tub of lube.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
He's just gonna offer you his salad and ask you to toss it.
That's charming.
Let's leave it on that note.
Let's really do. Yeah.
Everyone for tuning in as per usual, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Apologies to anyone with multiple sclerosis.
In advance.
Great.
Thanks everyone.